welcome to the family here on Purple Mafia. I am your host, Paladino Joey, or Joey Awajan. Purple Mafia is available on all of your favorite podcasting apps. I thank each and every one of you once and always for downloading and listening to the show. It's a great pleasure to be back and forth with you once again today, as there was a back and forth, wild, crazy football game today where it just felt like the Vikings should have been pulling away in this one, and of course they didn't. And Seattle ended up making it very interesting, but the Vikings somehow, someway, once again escape 27-24 in their first victory in Seattle since 2006. It was definitely a scary game, a game that could make you feel, nauseous. Right now, if you can tell me my voice, I'm not feeling my best. Kind of like, I don't know if it's like ate the wrong thing, that type of thing. Hopefully I feel better very soon. Nothing too like long term or anything, just like where you don't feel good for a day or whatever. So one of those deals. Just trying my best here. This game definitely did not help at all. This was a nauseating back and forth type of game. It can make anybody's stomach turn back and forth. But at the end of the day, the Vikings are 13-2 and take advantage of a situation where Philadelphia was beaten earlier in the day. Jalen Hurts came out of the game with what was believed to be a concussion, and the Washington Redskins came back and defeated the Philadelphia Eagles. But we'll talk about that later. But hey, the Eagles have 3 losses. Detroit and Minnesota still have 2. So unfortunately, the Bears didn't take care of business. Spoiler alert. Anyhow, 27-24, Minnesota escapes this one. Sam Darnold pretty clutch once again down the stretch, and generally speaking, no turnovers once again, and that's awesome. 35 attempts, 246 yards, 3 touchdowns, a quarterback rating of 112.3. 1 minute, the Vikings defense looked really good, getting the job done, knocking the ball away. Next minute, it was just run up the gut for some first downs, but generally speaking, the Seahawks didn't run the ball a whole lot today. Only 8 rushes for Kenneth Walker the third, but an 11-yard run up the middle. McIntosh had a 9-yard run. Geno Smith himself had an 8-yard run. So stuff like that. It felt way worse than it was. Maybe it was because I wasn't feeling good. I don't know. And it was such a close, frustrating game where 1 minute the offense looked epic. The next minute it looked like it couldn't do anything. It was 3 and out, this and that. Geno Smith did attempt 43 passes, which a lot of people would agree that is a recipe for some turnovers eventually. And they did come late, and they finally did. There were 2 interceptions that were left on the field by Blake Cashman and Shaq Griffin, respectively. Both of them could have potentially iced the game. I believe the Cashman one would have just about iced the game. The Shaq Griffin one, it wouldn't have necessarily iced the game, but it would have killed a touchdown drive, a field goal drive by the Seahawks. Unfortunately, they did get that field goal because of that. I think actually both of them led to field goals by the Seahawks down the stretch. The Seahawks kicker, Jason Myers, nope, he only made 2, 1 out of 2. So he made a 43-yarder and then missed a 60-yarder. Just didn't have enough juice on it, basically, and he made all 3 of his extra points. Will Reichard made both of his kicks, 48 yards and 52, respectively. Great kicks. The 48-yarder was pretty close, but it went through, where the 52-yarder was like no doubt right away. Stephon Gilmore did have 2 pass deflections, one of them late in the game, which was extremely clutch. But my goodness, he struggled a lot in the game. A lot. Getting beat on some touchdowns. DK Metcalf was talking a lot of crap, and so were a lot of the Seahawks defenders. Metcalf was talking a ton. It was kind of a lot of back and forth throughout the game. It's like every little first down now. It seems like Justin Jefferson was going a little bit crazy out there, which eventually led me to complain about the endless celebrations. Yes, the game-ending celebration, I understand. Everybody's, we did this. It was a big deal and all that. But I don't know. Sometimes I think it gets to be too much. Maybe I was just kind of in a mood at the time anyway. At least the Vikings won the football game. Andrew Van Ginkel. It felt like, again, Vikings just could not get to Geno Smith. Every time it looked like there was going to be a sack, he would be able to throw it away in time. Or maybe, who knows, he would hit a receiver for either a short gain or something else, like much more yards after the carry that ended up leading to a first down due to poor tackling, including Cashman actually had a pretty frustrating kind of missed tackle where he kind of had the guy and then he didn't, and then the guy got through. That was the tight end, I believe, of the Seahawks, young, talented tight end. Man, he got on my nerves a little bit, but what are you going to do? I mean, he's going to make the plays, so, I mean, again, what are you going to do? Confused at A.J. Barner, he only had 2 catches for 13 yards. It feels weird. One of them was that touchdown. A lot of people will tell you he had 1 foot out of bounds. I kind of tend to agree on that, but it was a very quick play, and the refs let it go. The Vikings did have a good amount of calls in this game, so we can't get too upset, generally speaking. Not that they were like bad calls against the Seahawks necessarily. Obviously, finally a face mask was called in the Vikings' favor. Sam Darnold could have been injured pretty badly on the play. He did have a tweaked ankle again. That's like about the 3rd time or so this season that he was limping around on his ankle, so that's unfortunate. But again, Darnold able to finish the game, which is great. Could have been a pretty serious injury. Sorry for smacking the lips there. I know it's annoying. I don't mean to do it. But yeah, pulling him down. Yeah, he was pulled down by his face mask. Looked like he was going to get sacked again. Thankfully, the referees did call that one, which was a crucial moment. Not long after that, it was Darnold to Justin Jefferson for a very clutch play. It wasn't Jefferson's last catch of the game, but one of his later ones, and it was his 2nd touchdown in the game. 39-yard play. Had made us all feel like $1 million. Put the Vikings ahead again. That was awesome. Ultimately, the game-winning drive as well. So, because nobody else scored after that, it was kind of a bit of back and forth defensively. After that, some frustrations. As Vikings did have a 3-and-out when had an opportunity to hopefully burn the clock, but the Seattle defense was up to the challenge. Surprise, surprise. Darnold ended up having to slide basically to save anything stupid happening, and that's fine. Slide and take the loss, and then of course punt the Seahawks way back into deep field position, which ultimately again led to Geno Smith's 2nd interception that iced the game. Oh, that felt good. Yeah, again, that's when one of the crazy celebrations happened. But again, I suppose that was Theo Jackson with the hero interception there. Counts as a pass deflection. He did also have 4 tackles in the game. Good for him. Cam Bynum had some big moments, including a pass deflection. Gilmore, again, did have 2 pass deflections. So on paper, it looks like he did pretty well, but he was beat. He was beat in the end zone. See, sometimes when you see a cornerback with a bunch of tackles, it means they got beat a lot. Where Gilmore only had 2, but unfortunately, again, giving up at least one of the touchdowns in this game. And I don't know, and then he was penalized in some occasions as well. Multiple penalties called on Gilmore. Not a good day for Gilmore, unfortunately. Griffin, again, narrowly missed an interception. There were some plays where it looked like we were going to have a pass deflection, and unfortunately it wasn't deflected enough. It still got to the receiver. It was just kind of tipped slightly upward, maybe like a half of a centimeter higher. It's kind of funny and weird at the same time. And Seattle was able to continue their drives down the field from Geno Smith. Again, sorry, apologize. Jackson Smith, well, JSN, you could say, with 8 catches, a touchdown, 95 yards. DK Metcalf, again, talking a lot of crap in this game. Some of them were throwaways, and some were pass deflections on those targets. 7 targets, only 3 catches, surprisingly, on DK Metcalf. Felt like he had 200 yards in this game. I mean, every play by Seattle felt like it was just a punch to the gut. And believe me, today, I don't really want a punch to the gut. I really don't. Aaron Jones started strong in the game, and as the game progressed, the Seattle defense really started to clamp down on Aaron Jones. And, of course, the Vikings defense started to get tired because the Vikings offense was having 3-and-outs and sputtering and struggling like they tend to do in the third quarters of games, second and third quarters at times. But then, thankfully, fourth quarter, Darnold kind of took over down the stretch again, surviving that dangerous face mask tackle. Again, illegal play. Obviously, a 15-yard penalty that, again, did lead to what ended up being the game-winning drive. And we'll take that 1,000,000 times over. Trying to remember what player that happened on. Was it Brown? No, it wasn't Brown. I can't remember who it was. Yeah, there's a guy named Kobe Bryant. It's spelled with a C. That's kind of funny. C-O-B-Y. Kobe Bryant, and he's wears number 8. That's interesting. God rest the original one's soul, of course. I can't remember who it was. It's okay, though. Obviously, it's a big moment and a huge break for the Vikings that we really needed in so many ways. Multiple Byron Murphys. That's always interesting as well. It's the darndest thing. Byron Murphy Jr. and Byron Murphy II. Interesting. The second, of course, is on Seattle. It's interesting. Must be a very common name, I guess, out there. I guess. Andrew Van Ginkel, again, 2 sacks in the game. Obviously spectacular late. making the big plays, not getting the pick six or anything like that, but making the big sacks, getting into the pass rush, and finally getting to Geno Smith. It took the whole damn game to get to him, but my God, was that satisfying. Felt like $1 million, pushing the Seahawks back, finally bringing Geno Smith down at the end of the day. As Scary Gary might say in video games 1-on-1 or 101, take him down. And that's pretty much what happened at the end of the day. Again, yes, lots of crazy back and forth in this game. You could say it was a lot of ups and downs, a lot of frustration. Again, man, this might be a short segment. I need to, I don't know, probably step away soon. But it was, yeah, definitely dramatic. Jalen Naylor's one catch was a huge first down. We really needed it. Little 5-yard play. C.J. Ham had a 1-yard play, or one catch for 9 yards. It was not a first down, but thankfully the Vikings were able to get that later on by the skin of our proverbial teeth. T.J. Hawkinson dropped 3 passes. They were all, catchable plays, I think. I mean, some of them were harder than others. It was like a tough angle. You have to turn and the ball's kind of moving away from you and all that. I get it. But at least the very last one, it was like, bleep you, Hawkinson. I was so mad. Ended up being a 4th down, and we had to punt. And punting in a close game like that was not a good feeling. Jordan Addison, only 5 catches, but 5 catches for only 35 yards, but did get in the end zone. Justin Jefferson, again, 10 catches, 144 yards, and 2 touchdowns, if I didn't mention that already. So that was extremely wonderful at the end of the day. And Noah Fant, a couple of big ones. Metcalf with a 25-yard play. Njigba, 25-yard play as well. And Geno Smith was feeling it for a stretch in this game, particularly late second and early third, when all of a sudden it's a 17-7 game ended up being a 17-17 game. Extremely frustrating. Even just the touchdown to Metcalf was extremely frustrating with all the crap that guy talks. I'm not a fan. God, I'm not a fan. I don't think a lot of us are. But, yeah, that was frustrating at the end of the day. But again, the Vikings survive, and in a place where they never win. And Seattle, definitely a dangerous team. This is a loss probably about 9 out of 10 times the Vikings are in Seattle, but it's been a magical season so far, and I hope it continues. 13-2 is a pretty magical record, to say the least. The Vikings will be hosting the Green Bay Packers next week, who are 10-4, as obviously they hammered the Seahawks badly last week. Seahawks came back focused this week and gave the Vikings a hell of a time. Completely different. Just like Golden State Warriors with the Memphis Grizzlies a couple nights ago got, the biggest difference of a loss in the whole season, a 51-point loss to the Memphis Grizzlies. And then, of course, gave the Wolves a hell of a time in the next game and beat us in Target Center. That was insanely frustrating to see them play better. Because I'm not a Warriors fan either, by the way. Seattle obviously gave us all a lot of stress and frustrations over the years, especially in the Russell Wilson and all of them when they were a Super Bowl contender. Extremely frustrating over the years. Fun memory when that Chester Taylor game. It's just funny how the game we won in Seattle, it was in a season where the Vikings weren't even close to competing, though we did have one player that was clearly the MVP of the team. Unfortunately, I was not podcasting back then, so I couldn't give him the MVP, Purple Mafia MVP, though I guess I will right now. The 2006 Purple Mafia MVP goes to Chester Taylor for the season. So just to be nice to him, yeah, because that was a fun game and a memorable time, and he was the MVP of that team. But again, the Vikings survive a back and forth crazy battle. Great kicks by Will Reichert, and you felt so good. Looks like Dallas is building a lead. Yep, it's going to be 10-0 over Tampa in Dallas, so obviously it's a home field advantage for the Cowboys at the moment. And home field advantage does mean something. I think the Vikings would have won in a bigger gap today if they would have been hosting the game. Usually, it just is. It's a better vibe, though sometimes it isn't. I don't know. The Wild, they seem to not be able to play at home for some reason. Historically, it's been really weird, especially in the playoffs. They've never won a playoff series with home ice advantage, which is weird, and they've had multiple home ice advantage series. It's very strange. But other than that, I think I'm babbling and using up energy that I already don't really have a whole lot. So again, it's going to be a shorter first segment. Unfortunately, it's just the way it is. Getting through this as best possible. The Fran Tarkington Award winner for this episode, it's a tough call when you have Andrew Van Ginkel making the big plays, Darnold being extremely clutch, Justin Jefferson with 144 yards. That's a season high, believe it or not, in the yards category with 2 touchdowns. The annoying celebration, sure. I don't know. It's going to go to, I think it should go to Sam Darnold. He was insanely clutch. But Justin Jefferson, maybe it can kind of be like a tie between those two. Great overall performance, even though some defenders might deserve it, like Van Ginkel, obviously. Honorable mention to him. But I guess it's going to go to Darnold if it has to go to one person, because he was super clutch down the stretch. Was about to get pulled down again, this time legally, and was able to hit Justin Jefferson on that big play to put the Vikings ahead. Ultimately, that was the winning drive, believe it or not. The Christian Ponder Memorial goes to Cam Robinson for the second straight week. I thought he was not as bad as last week, but still struggled a bit. Gave up a pretty easy sack by the Seattle defender. That was frustrating and kind of dumb. It's like, what just happened? Like, he just went right past the guy. So it was kind of a turnstile situation there. Not sure, was it? I think it was Jerry and Reed who just got right around. He just kind of turnstyled Cam Robinson, and that's unfortunate. I like Cam Robinson, but he's struggled the past couple of weeks. I don't know if he's hurt a little bit or something. Could be what it is. They're just generally struggling, but that was frustrating. I think it was Curry and Reed. It could be Derek Hall or Boy Mayf. I can't remember which one of them it was, and I apologize. So, again, I wasn't feeling my best. So, but I do remember seeing it very clearly that, Cam Robinson got turnstiled. It was annoying. It was depressing. It was basically no resistance at all. It was kind of weird. So that's the case there. With that, we'll take a quick break and look around the rest of the league if humanly possible and pray for feeling a little better here. And we are back here on Purple Mafia, segment number 2. Maybe you'll notice I sound a little better, maybe a little hoarse, but let's just say whatever was making me not feel good I threw up a little bit, and I feel way better. So sometimes that's all you need to do. It's gross, but you got to do it. Sorry for sharing that information on the air, but sometimes you just have to do that. Anyhow, Dallas Cowboys lead 10-0 over the, man, I feel better, let me tell you. Dallas Cowboys. It's amazing what a difference that can make. 10-0 over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at the moment. I believe, yes, it's the Bucs that are driving. Okay, maybe I'll stop with a play-by-play at the moment. I probably could do it if I wanted to. I probably could have been a decent play-by-play voice. I kind of wanted to back in the day, way back in the day in high school. Packers are hosting the Saints on ESPN. Monday Night Football. Thank you very much. The Chargers hosted and beat the Denver Broncos. So the Chargers won this time, and yeah, it's a tough team there, Denver. On Thursday, that would have been the 19th, yes, because the 20th was Friday, and all my coworkers were, well, not all of them, but a lot of them were acting kind of weird the whole day. It's like, okay, yes, it's the last day for a little bit. Do we have to make all this noise? It's kind of silly. But anyhow, I'm airing way too much dirty laundry out here. Bucks airing their dirty laundry on the Cowboys. Bucky Irving, perfect name for the Bucks. Bucky scoring a touchdown and all that good stuff. Anyhow, so that's going to be a 3-point game as long as the kicker makes his extra point. The Chargers win 34-27. I'm in a little better mood now. I was like, yeah, so the Vikings beat the Seahawks. Yeah, okay, I need to get out of here. I need to go. Yes, but I hope I got enough of the point across on that first segment. Bo Nix attempted 40 passes, no interceptions, and he did not lose a fumble. So good job, but unfortunately not in a winning game for the Broncos, but I'd much rather see the Chargers win anyway. Justin Herbert had something closer to a franchise quarterback type of game, as he's had a lot of the second-tier quarterback level performances this season. Not necessarily bad, but just nothing special. Remember I was talking about earlier in the year, like he threw a touchdown, no interceptions, and like 150 yards. That's not franchise numbers. That's like, Gus Frerotte. Well, not even Gus Frerotte. Not even Gus Frerotte. It's like some, I don't know. Trent Dilfer when he was playing really well, and he was not throwing interceptions, basically. 23 of 31, quarterback rating of 110.2 despite the interception, and Gus Edwards also getting in the end zone twice. Almost 5 yards of carry for Gus on only 14 rushes. Good for him. Yes, the Chargers won the game. They are 9-6, right? Yep, and the Broncos are 9-6. So there you go. AFC West rivals. Yeah, some back-to-back games. Didn't they just play each other? I'm pretty sure they did, and I know the Broncos won. So, which was obviously very frustrating for the Chargers. Another frustrating game. And sad, too. This was Saturday. So you go from a Thursday night game to Saturday, because this is that time of year now, where not just because it's Christmas season and the Christmas week and all that cute stuff, but also it's getting closer to, the playoff implications and all that, and college football is not on Saturdays like it was before now, because it's bowl season and playoff season. Not that I care much, because I'm not into college football as much as this. Yeah, I'm just not. Sorry, I'm not trying to be rude. But of course, the Chiefs won. And it's just another one of those back and forth games. Kansas City hosting the Houston Texans. Back and forth game, but of course, the Chiefs end up emerging victorious. And a touchdown to Tank Hill ended up being a very sad play. Very, very, very sad. And not joking about it at all. And not surprisingly, the kicker, Fairbairn, had missed the extra point. Probably a lot of distractions at the moment. Thinking more about Tank Dell than anything else, than even the game at that point. Doesn't get more distracting and disheartening than that. So maybe that's not too surprising that Kayami Fairbairn missed the kick. It was kind of like injury to injury, insult to injury, injury to injury. I don't know. Nobody else got hurt, thankfully, but at least not on that play. Every game somebody gets banged up a little bit, I'm sure. But Tank Dell, did I call him Tank Hill? Tank Dell. I apologize, Tank Dell. 1 in a million chance he's listening. I don't know. Heart goes out to you, buddy. I'm only 25 years of age. Nobody died, but boy, unfortunately, he had to. I don't know. Was it I don't think it was quite Bridgewater-like, but it was pretty bad. He caught the touchdown, but his teammate, his other receiver, kind of basically fell into him because it was, a bunch of guys kind of going for the ball, a jump ball type of situation, kind of sort of like that. It was it was kind of a Hail Mary type of deal. Not really, but kind of turned out like that. It was a crowd, basically. Receivers and defenders all kind of going for the ball at once, like playing a game of 500, which makes me never want to play that the rest of my life. Of course, I don't know, I don't really hang out that much anyway, so doing that kind of stuff. But yeah, it was a really nasty knee injury, like everything kind of, you know what I mean? Like one of those, like everything. Yeah, it was really bad. It was really sad. The players were crying and sad and all that. So Tank Dell hoping for a full recovery. I'm sure CJ Stroud prayed a lot for him during that time and after the game and all that. CJ Stroud's a good guy. Very good guy. Good Christian guy. And sorry, Tank. I mean, hoping for the best there. That was very sad, to say the least. And frustrating the rest of the way. The Chiefs would do most of the scoring. Fairbairn did make a field goal later from 38 yards out, but unfortunately, the Chiefs won the football game, which sucks. I'm just not a fan. I'm sorry. So 10 points for the Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes to Xavier Worthy, and yep, that was frustrating. But again, the Chiefs were already ahead anyway. Fairbairn got them closer, but then the Chiefs ultimately win the football game. Harrison Butker made a 27-yarder to make it an 8-point game. And Houston couldn't do a whole lot with that stingy Chiefs defense and interception late to wrap that sucker up. Kind of like the Vikings defense, how they like to wrap games up with late interceptions this season. It's been great. Despite some holes given up in this game, there was a heck of a lot less than, it was a heck of a lot less than what we were watching. It felt like, again, like the, what do they call it? The Seahawks ran for 300 yards in this game, and they ran for 60. You know what I mean? That's what kind of game it was, and I'm sure not feeling good, considering how I feel now compared to how I felt then. Holy crap! It must have been really serious, situation. That's why it felt like, again, Seattle. Every little thing Seattle did right. It was just like another punch to the gut. Yeah, that's what it felt like. It was awful. Kansas City 14-1. What the heck? Oh, God. No, I don't want them to win. But hopefully they do 93 Pittsburgh Penguins. They're probably going to win. Whatever. And then they get beat in the second round by the Islanders of all teams. It's going to be some old school team it won't be the Raiders. Could it be like a crazy team like the Broncos? They make the playoffs, come in and knock out the Chiefs. Crazy team that's won before, but not recently. Or like the Steelers, somebody like that, or even Baltimore. Hopefully something like that happens. But I've gone on and on and on and on about this game. Funny, I actually have energy now because I'm not, feeling like crap. But then you have now that Black and Blue Bowl, which is a famous game. Baltimore and Pittsburgh. It's a great rivalry for many, many, many years, especially once they became Baltimore instead of Cleveland. But Cleveland came back, but they're not even close to what they used to be. The purple versus black. It's a classic matchup. Pittsburgh used to beat up on a young, improving Baltimore team, and now it's Baltimore beating up on Pittsburgh. Pretty good today, 34-17. Very impressive win for the Baltimore Ravens, not the Orioles. 10-5 or 10-5. They're both 10-5. Pittsburgh, I guess, officially considered first place. So this must have tied things up. But Pittsburgh has a different tiebreaker, possibly divisional record is what I'm guessing is. They won a lot of early games against division foes, including Baltimore. I do remember that happening. Lamar Jackson, another MVP type of season. 3 touchdowns and an interception. Russell Wilson, a nice renaissance. 2 touchdowns and an interception. But Jackson was definitely better, but ironically, both of them wound up with only 200 yards-ish each, just slightly more by Russell Wilson, 10 more, 217 to 207. So Derrick Henry, Tecmo Bowl football, eat your heart out. Holy crap. Bo Jackson, eat your heart out in Tecmo football. Like Bo Jackson in Tecmo football, the untacklable running back. 24 rushes, 162 yards, almost 7 yards a carry. Dang, Derrick, you're crazy. Crazy in a good way. Zay Flowers, 5 catches, 100 yards. Mark Andrew with a touchdown also, and Isaiah was likely scoring on the 3 catches he made. And all that, and Rashad Bateman, all he does is catch touchdowns. 1 catch, 14 yards, and a touchdown. Good for him. Justin Tucker, all he does is make field goals. Well, yeah, that's what he's supposed to do. 51 yards, and he made his extra points too, to be fair. Yeah, both kickers made 51-yard kicks in this game. So, classic AFC football there. Classic black and blue AFC football there. Nice long kicks by the 2 kickers. Giants and Falcons, and a guy, Kirk Cousins, this was not mentioned on the show, and we'll talk about it in Fan Interaction a little bit, I'm sure. Kirk Cousins officially benched by the Falcons after last week's below average showing at best. Michael Penix came out, his first start, below average. 27 attempts, 18 completions, 1 interception, no fumbles, so good for him. His quarterback rating of 73.4, I would call that below average. Drew Lock was not good, just bad. Not terrible, but bad. Now my voice is probably going to go on me. That's the next thing. Yeah, it's a possibility. 39 attempts, 22 completions, not good, just kind of lousy. 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. The league neighbors, another good game with 7 catches and 68 yards, considering the circumstances. Like Drew Lock, just mediocre at best, but Atlanta's defense is kind of good until the Vikings just went crazy on them. But John Robinson got in the end zone twice running the ball. Tyler Aguilar didn't do a whole lot. What did I sign him for? Kyle Pitts, it was great earlier in the season, and TJ Hawkinson being hurt on the fantasy team. Now it's like 1 catch a game for like 7 yards, you know what I mean? It's kind of sad. Riley Patterson, the former Viking training camp guy, has been the kicker for the Falcons. He made a 42-yard. Well, he has not been the kicker. It was Koo. He must have got hurt last game. Patterson was on Jacksonville, wasn't he? So Patterson resurfacing with Atlanta. What am I talking about? It's his first game there. 52 yards. Remember Koo was out there. Young Hoo Koo when he got hurt or whatever, and he had a terrible kick last week. Must have been injured around that time. The Korean kicker, basically. 452 yards for Riley. But he did miss one, unfortunately. So, yes, Atlanta won pretty bad over a terrible Jets team who are 2-13. Atlanta's 8-7, so hanging in there. Michael Penix guided the team enough, I suppose, didn't get them killed and that type of thing. Bears and Lions, that's later. Belgians, Browns, and Bengals. What's a Belgian? Am I crazy? I think so. 24-6, Bengals beat the Browns in a 3rd and 4th place matchup in the AFC North, pardon me. Bengals go up to 7-8, but it's like too little too late, and the Brown Bags are what they are. They've had a terrible season. Bengals went up 17-0, then gave up a touchdown with a missed extra point by Dustin Hopkins, and then Burrow completed another touchdown, his 3rd of the game, to the ever ultra talented Jamar Chase. Again, I mean, can you imagine Burrow, Chase, and Jefferson all on the same team in college? I mean, that is sick. That's good stuff. I'm not a college fan, but holy crap. And I don't like LSU at all. But boy, that year, how do you not like LSU? Yeah, I'll be honest. I don't like him at all. I mean, I just don't. I'd rather see Georgia win or whatever. You know, Alabama, we all got sick of, I'm sure. It's like Kentucky in basketball. Like, no, please. Or UConn. Ugh, go away. Dorian Thompson-Robinson, yuck. 34 attempts, 20 completions, 2 interceptions, 45.8. Ouch. Didn't fumble the ball, though. And he ran for 49 yards. That's respectable. Donta Foreman, just one single goal line. Nope. Yeah, I thought he got in the end zone. No, he fumbled. It was Jerome Ford that got in the end zone. Foreman fumbled on 2 carries. Ouch. And Burrow also fumbled the ball. He did not throw an interception, but he did fumble. Bengals won. Why am I spending so much time on this one game? That game, too. That they're not going anywhere. Colts and Tennessee, talk about not going anywhere. Colts 7-8, Tennessee 3-12. That sounds very familiar. Pretty good game, I guess. 38-30. Yeah, Tennessee made a roaring back. You know, furious rally late in the game, but it wasn't enough. Scoring 15 points. A two-point conversion to make it an 8-point game with 2:56 left, but unable to do anything after that. Anthony Richardson with, well, yeah, he's a mess. Yeah, no, that's Rudolph. Looking at the wrong guy. Mason Rudolph is definitely a mess with the Titans. 3 interceptions, 2 touchdowns, 252 yards, and 34 completions. Again, playing from behind, of course. And then over there, Anthony Richardson attempted 11 passes. Still managed to throw an interception somewhere along the way. But if you're in the fantasy playoffs, I believe this would be the semifinals, like the conference final type of day for you. Tecmo Bowl. Well, this is the Bo Jackson Award of the day. That might be a new thing for this podcast, the Bo Jackson Award, the best running back of the entire day. Like Bo Jackson Tecmo Bowl Award. Yeah. You get the idea. Tecmo Bowl Bo Jackson Award. 29 rushes. That's a lot of rushes. 218 yards. That's a lot of yards. 7.5 a carry. That's incredible. 70-yard long. 3 touchdowns. Anthony Richardson even had 9 rushes for 70 yards. So, even Trey Sermon and Tyler Goodson added almost 50 combined, but the 2 guys as well. That's about 400 yards rushing. So Richardson didn't have to pass a whole lot. It's just amazing that he managed to throw an interception on just 11 attempts. Come on, man, stop throwing interceptions. At least his accuracy was up. So that's kind of entertaining. That's definitely an urban legend. 11 attempts, but still managed to get that interception. And they blew the living bleep out of, well, they scored 38 points, but they gave up 30 as well. Rams, yep, I keep getting these 2 teams mixed up, the Rams and the Jets. I thought the Jets were doing well, but the Rams wound up scoring 13 points in that 4th quarter, much to the Seahawks' chagrin. I'm sure they're pissed right now. 8-7, losing that close one to the Vikings. And the Rams are now 9-6, a team that was 1-4 to open up the season. Another person who's probably pissed off beyond belief is Aaron Rodgers. Obviously, it's just it is what it is. They just find a way to not win football games, or they find a way to lose. Kyren Williams with 23 rushes, 123 yards on the ground. Awesome. Over 5.5, almost 5.5 yards of carry and got in the end zone once. Very consistent because only 13 long for him. And the Rams are now 9-6, beating the Jets in New York, or New Jersey, actually. Not sure if there were any drone sightings during this one, but we'll move on from that quickly. 4-11 record there. Huge game here for the Minnesota Vikings, the playoff implications if we do win the NFC North. We want to have home field advantage over the Philadelphia Eagles, who could potentially be the number 2 seed. Looks like they are the number 2 seed no matter what happens, because obviously the Vikings or the Lions cannot be the number 2 seed. One of the if one's the number 1, the other can't be the number 2 is what I'm trying to say. The other one has to drop all the way down to 5, which is cruel beyond belief. Washington's hanging on to playoff hopes for sure with their 10th win of the year. Not bad. Eagles, though, 36-33. Washington clutch at the very end. It was a walk-off type victory, as the Eagles had built a lead. A small lead, but a lead. Again, Eagles had built up a large lead early on, and then the injury took place. Kenny Pickett took over, well, very early. Kenny Pickett was part of the lead, too, throwing a touchdown to A.J. Brown, making it 14-0. Barkley, of course, getting in the end zone, who's definitely got Bo Jackson all over him. 29 rushes for him, also 150 yards and 2 touchdowns. But not quite as good as Taylor there in Indianapolis. Kenny Pickett he's respectable for a backup quarterback. Former Steeler, I do believe. 24 attempts, 14 completions, 1 interception, 1 touchdown. Just simply not enough. Jaden Daniels, 5 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Unfortunately, the 2 interceptions kind of, kept the Washington Commanders kind of behind a bit for a while. But man, 5 touchdowns, an epic overall performance by Jaden Daniels. Even ran for 81 yards. Did not get in the end zone there. Robinson actually fumbled the ball twice. That's the running back. 2 fumbles in the game and only 24 yards. That Eagles run defense was awesome against the running backs, but Jaden Daniels was mobile and outstanding and magnificent in the game. He definitely gets the Darrell Green Award. I don't know. Who's the best Washington Redskin Commander football team of all time? Who's the best? Is it Darrell Green? I don't know. I don't know. The Washington Commanders Redskins franchise is very, very, very old. So, I don't know. I'm trying to think of some players. Obviously, Clinton Portis was real good, but I don't think he was the best player in franchise history or anything. McLaurin getting another touchdown. Good for him. And then Zacchaeus, 2 of them on 70 yards. Both of those guys had 5 catches respectively. And the fact that the Eagles lose their 3rd game gives the Vikings a golden opportunity to potentially have the number 1 seed in the NFC for the first time since '98. Hopefully the Vikings would protect home field this time and get to our first Super Bowl since 1976/77. Hopefully. Yeah, you just got to take care of business in that case. Just get it done. Just simply get it done. The only way to do it is to bleep and do it. That's the only way. Just do it. Kind of like you did today on the road versus Seattle. In a situation that felt like it was going to fall. We were going to fall on our face. We're going to blow this thing. Come out with a 3-point or 7-point loss to the Seahawks and be really upset because the golden opportunity lost. And Philadelphia losing today was a big deal. Their record, or their schedule, up and coming is not too tough. Don't they play the Giants again? Oh, that's scary. Scary. Woo. But it might end up being a game where they just lose because they're stuck at 2 or whatever anyway. They just, don't want to get guys hurt. That might end up what happens if, say, the Giants win. And that'd be the only reason the Giants would win is because they'd be playing against 3rd-string players and 2nd-string players so people don't get hurt. That's kind of how that goes. Next week's opponent is the Packers. I hope I didn't talk about that game yet. Better not have. No, I didn't. Oh, well, they don't even play this. They don't even play yet. Yeah, we'll get to them in a minute. Carolina, oh, man, this is a tough loss for Arizona. Very tough. They're pretty much out now, I'd say. Not officially, but they're on the outside looking in. Losing 36-30 is not what you want as a Arizona Cardinals fan. Rematch of the 2015-16 NFC Championship game where the Cam Newton's 15-1 Carolina Panthers steamrolled that Arizona team, unfortunately. We'll always wonder how the Vikings would have performed as we were the number 3 seed that year. How we would have played in Arizona in a divisional game had the whole thing not collapsed on us versus Seattle in that wild card game. Crazy. We kept it out of the end zone. Good job. 86 for Tampa. Special teams. Nice play. It's like a miracle. I kept that ball out of the end zone to pin the Cowboys way back. But no, you always wonder how the Vikings would have played against that club. Former number 1 overall pick for the Bengals who had ACLs and such. Am I forgetting his name? God, he was good. Oh, he was good. He was awesome, especially with Cincinnati. Bryce Young was really good, too. Only 158 yards, but 2 touchdowns. And he did not fumble. Good job. No turnovers by Bryce Young. Kyler Murray threw 1 interception and a fumble and a touchdown. Kind of a little bit of everything. The whole repertoire there for Kyler Murray. We'll see what happens there. Bryce Young also ran for 68 yards and got in the end zone. So, nice performance. Adam Thielen was the leading receiver again. 5 catches, 43 yards, and a touchdown. Respectable performance by Detroit Lakes' Adam Thielen. Chuba Hubbard rolls right off your tongue. 25 rushes. Tecmo Bowl football again. Once again, multiple Tecmo Bowls here in this game. Chuba Hubbard, 25 rushes, 152, 6.1 a carry, and 2 touchdowns. Wow. So these are teams going to their conference championship, possibly their fantasy Super Bowl, if you have guys like this on your roster. Doesn't guarantee anything, but maybe. James Conner would help. I don't know if he would just give you a win, but Taylor probably would on the other side there. Conner, 15 rushes, 117 yards, but again, almost 8 yards a carry. That's awesome. Got in the end zone as well. Kyler Murray's not taking anyone to any Super Bowl, but maybe somebody trying to some miracle play, signing Bryce Young at the last second because their quarterback has been letting them down all year, or he just got hurt or whatever. And then Bryce Young shows up and gets the job done. Of course, if you had Jalen Hurts, you're screwed, unfortunately. Buffalo Bills barely beat the New England Patriots. Oof. 24-21. Did you show up, Buffalo? Jeez. They barely beat the Patriots, who are 3-12. Buffalo 12-3 with a very impressive win versus Detroit last week. Nothing close this week. Not even close. James Cook, Tagmo Bowl football again. Only 11 carries, 100 yards. That's awesome. 9.1 a carry and got in the end zone. Wow. Drake May, 2 touchdowns. Not bad. And an interception. He played fairly well. Quarterback rating of 90.2. Josh Allen was like the original Josh Allen before he was good. Remember the Josh Allen in the early days? Pretty lousy. 19 attempts, 16 completions, 154, 1 TD, and 1 INT. Quarterback rating of 67.3. Not a great performance overall by the Bills, but they still won the game, so whatever. Kind of like the Vikings today. But the Vikings, I'm not going to throw up again. That's good. It scared me for a second. Vikings did not play a team on New England's level. They played a much tougher team, and they were on the road. Buffalo was at home. You can imagine fans just groaning watching this nonsense. Vegas won a game over the Jacksonville Jaguars. Great football. 19-14. Vegas over Jacksonville. I'll try to keep this really short. Mac Jones did not turn the ball over. Good job. Good for you. 247 yards, but they lost. 1 touchdown. Aiden O'Connell. I don't want to say that. Aiden O'Connell. No touchdowns, no interceptions, but 257 yards. It's Vikings running back heaven there, I guess. No, right? Vikings running back purgatory is more like it. Amir Abdullah led them with 38 yards and a touchdown. Alexander Madison, 27 yards and a touchdown, and only 2.3 a carry. Yuck. Yuck. But they both got in the end zone, and they helped win the football game at the end of the day on the offensive side anyway, even though they weren't doing a whole lot yardage-wise. They got in the end zone. So, yeah. Napoleon Harris. No, I don't want to even think about that guy. He was pretty below average as well. The Super Bowl that we only got once, Dan Marino versus Joe Montana, and unfortunately it was a blowout in favor of the Niners. He would have liked a better performance, and I think, I know this wasn't a great game either. 49ers are done. 6-9 on the season. We'll see what happens with Purdy in the offseason and what decision they might make. Maybe even Kirk Cousins comes to San Francisco or something totally different. But Purdy, it looks like the magic points are running out a little bit for him. Even though he had a fairly solid game, 303 yards in the air, 2 touchdowns and 1 interception, but not great. Tua also not great, but didn't have a turnover. Just wasn't all that spectacular either. Did I say something about Tecmo football again? Tecmo Bowl football. Devon Arcane, 17 rushes, 120 yards. That's 7.1 a carry and a touchdown. That's sick. He also had 6 catches for 70 yards. So Arcane has definitely become a favorite for the Miami offense there. Wow. Awesome performance. And he's the reason why the Dolphins won. The Dan Marino Award goes to Arcane. And the Dolphins are, I think they're still alive, 7-8, right? They're not officially out yet. You could still actually have a winning record if you win your last 2 games. So now we jump into the divisional stuff, which is fun and all that. Well, the only other divisional one is the Packers, and that's who we're playing. Bears and Lions, yes. The Bears hosted the Lions. Thought, okay, the Lions are beat up, they're injured, they're messed up. I mean, now they lost their running back for the year. They lost another secondary, was it a safety to like an MCL or something like that? No problem. Detroit shows up and stomps on the Bears. The Cubbies. The super-sized Lions over the little Cubs, basically, is what this was. 34-17. Detroit is staying in first place right now until the Vikings have something to say about it in the season finale. That is going to be one epic performance. I got a feeling that's going to be Sunday Night Football. I have a feeling that game gets flexed. It's a noon game right now. Maybe it stays that way, but that game might have that game might be for all the marbles when it comes to the NFC number 1 seed, and then the loser's the 5th frickin' seed. But I guess if you're the best team, you have to go out and do it regardless if you're at home or on the road. And the Lions certainly did it on the road versus the Bears. Vikings toyed around and blew it, and the Bears almost beat us last time we were in Chicago. Played a lot better in the U.S. Bank Stadium last week, but I don't know. It wasn't that great of a game, but it was better than it could have been. Remember last week, Goff threw 5 touchdowns. Just crazy. He threw 3 today, 336 yards. It's between him and, I think it's between him and Saquon Barkley for the MVP. Caleb Williams came out to play too, to be fair, but they still got absolutely hammered in this game. Like, what the heck? It's the Bears defense just got absolutely slaughtered by this Detroit offense. Jahmyr Gibbs, he's the flat-out running back now. 23 carries, 109 yards, got in the end zone. Caleb Williams, did I say 334 yards and 2 touchdowns? Pretty good performance. Not as good as Goff, but way up there, in the triple-digit quarterback rating. He also ran for 34 yards, but did lose a fumble, and that did not help. Rome Odunze also lost a fumble for the Bears. That did not help either. Keenan Allen with 9 catches, 141 yards, and a touchdown. Jameson Williams, popping that Jameson, I suppose. Well, he had an 82-yard long in the game. Great play. 1 touchdown for him. Amon-Ra St. Brown, 1 touchdown on 70 yards. Sam Laporta also a single touchdown on 43 yards and 4 catches. But Detroit kicking butt still. They have 13 wins now, and we'll see how things go next week into the season finale for the Detroit Lions and the Vikings. It's going to be fascinating. Vikings host the Green Bay Packers for a chance to win their 14th game of the season. Packers will be hosting the Saints right now, so they'll have a shorter week, which helps the Vikings, I think. It should be a nooner unless it gets flexed. We'll see what happens. Maybe it gets flexed. But either way, I'll have the pregame out there for everyone to see. Oh, I didn't put it on Instagram, did I? The postgame. The pregame automatically posts, which is great. I love that. The Packers coming into this game, so this is obviously not counting the Saints game yet. Jordan Love just under 3,000 yards, so barring a major injury right before the, like within the first couple passes of the game, Jordan Love will eclipse 3,000 yards, which isn't great, but he did miss some games earlier in the year. Josh Jacobs, 1,147 yards on the season. Jaden Reed leads the Packers in receiving yards at 727. It's definitely been a pain in the butt for other people. Malik Willis did a great job in the relief of Jordan Love for the short time that he was needed. 3 touchdowns. Man, he was good. Quarterback rating of 130.3, so Malik Willis definitely holding his own out there for the Packers, and much to our massive chagrin because they didn't lose a single game. Jacobs also has ran the ball in 12 times for the Packers, so still very much in his prime is Josh Jacobs. Jordan Love, well, he hasn't thrown a whole lot of interceptions. He had a ton earlier. He was tied. Him and Darnold were tied with 10. Now they're both tied with 11 all these weeks later. Isn't that crazy? 23 touchdowns for Jordan Love. Definitely not a perfect guy, but he's got some talent, no doubt. He's had his good games and bad games. They did stomp up all over the Seahawks last week, did the Packers. Their leading sack guy is Rashawn Gary. Yep. I do believe he got at least 1 on Sam Darnold last time. Vikings led 28-0, and they almost blew it. Remember that last time? It's ridiculous. All of us were almost throwing up. Of course, I don't want to think about doing that. 31-29 ended up being the final. Weren't the Vikings? Yeah, Vikings were up 28-0 in that game. 28-0 in that freaking. Isn't that just weird? Oh, it's unreal. So the history is obviously very vast. If I go over it too much, we'll be here all night. This thing is freezing. That's annoying. But we'll get there. Just to look at the overall record and some memorable games, I suppose. This website is annoying sometimes. The football database, to look at these records. I'm not sure what's happening here. But, the Packers do have... the Packers lead the all-time series 66-59, basically. It's frozen. It's not moving. Come on, this website is annoying. But it's 66-59. Maybe that's all you really need to know in that epic 31-29 game back in the end of September, where it was still warm enough to swim. Yeah, the water was still warm enough to swim. That's how nice it was on that day. I remember loving that very much, like having the game on September 29th, laying and watching the game on my phone, laying partially in Medicine Lake. I mean, that was like a dream scenario. I never thought that would happen, that I'd be watching a regular season football game like that. Jordan Love threw a bunch of interceptions. He struggled. But boy, he led that roaring comeback. Darnold, though, was super clutch down the stretch and got the Vikings the victory. I would like to believe the Vikings can take care of business. Packers definitely have been pretty solid since the past several weeks here, to say the least. Is this ever going to load? I'm just getting a white screen of nothing. It's like a void. Yeah, 66, 59, and 3. The last tie was that. No, there was another tie. That stupid game where Dan Carlson missed all the kicks. Yeah, that one. Vikings should have won that game standing up. Way back in 2013, yeah, it was a very frigid day working outside, and kept up with that game. Yeah, I listened to the entire thing and then caught up afterward with video. It was fun to listen to, but they only tied because it was like, who were the quarterbacks in that game? Was it Pounder versus Flynn? It was just fascinating. No Favre and no Rodgers. It was fascinating. It was kind of weird. That's one that I always kind of harkened back to. It's like, man, this is like going back to the 80s or something, because it basically was in a lot of ways. Vikings almost choked this thing away. Will Riker did a 33-yard kick, which a lot of us were hoping would be a touchdown. It gave the Packers a chance still, but the Packers ultimately were unable to finish. The Vikings did get the yardage they needed to wrap the game up, and man, that felt good. 31-29. It was a very long delay late in that game, but to be up 28-0 and to barely escape 31-29 is extremely frustrating. But at least the Vikings did win, dropped the Packers to 2-2 at the time, a 4-0 record for the Vikings at the time. How is this going to go? I think the Vikings take care of business here, believe it or not, but it's going to be very close, very back and forth, probably very high scoring, or fairly high scoring anyway. It's not like today was super high scoring. Green Bay has a pretty good pass rush. I wanted to look at some of those comparisons real quick here, but I didn't. I just didn't. Sorry, delayed here. Again, this is before the Saints game. Packers are 7th in points scored per game. Vikings are 8th. And on offense, the Packers also have more yards than the Vikings, 12th. So Packers are 4th, Vikings are 12th. Passing yards per game. Packers are 11th, Vikings are 8th. Rushing yards, Packers are 4th. Josh Jacobs, Vikings are 15th. Aaron Jones is not as good. Time of possession, they're almost on top of each other here. 14th for Green Bay, 13th for Minnesota. And again, I don't think either of these games have been counted yet, which is annoying. Vikings are number 1 in interceptions, but we had 2 more. So from 20, we go to 22. 4th in sacks, Packers are 8th. Still pretty good. Rushing yards, Vikings are 2nd. Rushing yards against, not for, but against. Packers are 9th. Passing yards against, Vikings are 29th. Yep, team's trying to come back. Packers are 14th. And, of course, their secondary's not been so great either. Total yards against per game, which is a pretty important stat. The Packers are actually ahead of the Vikings. They're 9th, and the Packers are 13th. Points against, Vikings are number 2 in the league, I believe, behind the Chiefs, who never score hardly much, but they prevent everybody from scoring. It's kind of like the 2018 Patriots. Remember that team? Yeah, they didn't score much, but man, everybody was just shut down. And Gilmore was on that team, by the way. A healthier, younger Stephon Gilmore was on that team. Packers are 8th, giving up 20.5 a game. Vikings only giving up 18 points a game. Awesome. So Vikings will win the football game. Final score along the likes of 28 to 24. Vikings escape with a 4-point win in U.S. Bank Stadium. We intercept at least 1 interception on Jordan Love. Hopefully no interceptions on our side, but we'll see. Darnold throws for 280 yards. Love throws for like 250-ish. It's going to be a good, solid football game. Jacobs will be tough. He'll probably score at least once in the game. But I do believe the Vikings escape. Maybe a late interception, either the first or second of the game for Jordan Love. And that's kind of how things wrap up as the Packers trying to catch up and maybe win the game. But unfortunately for them, there's a turnover late, like the Vikings are wont to do, and win the football game 28-24. It'll definitely be a lot of back and forth, but the Vikings are clutch down the stretch. Sam Darnold driving the team when needed, and the Vikings defense getting that big play that simply wasn't there time after time last season. It's been there a lot this year. So we appreciate it very much, very much. Vikings moved to 14-2. That is a gorgeous record. Remember those kind of numbers back when there was a 16-game season? 14-2 made you just, it just made your heart go pitter-patter. It's just the best record. Be the most wins the Vikings have had since '98. Maybe, and then we try to get number 15 versus Detroit. See how that turns out. But the Vikings will outlast the Packers by 4 in U.S. Bank Stadium. We'll see if it gets flexed. I guess we'll find out. With that, we'll take a quick break and look at fan interaction. And we are back here on Purple Mafia, segment number 3, fan interaction segment. It looks like everything might be on Twitter today. Facebook is just dead, and that's too bad. So guys must have been busy, maybe the odd change, or they're annoyed with my inactivity. I'm sorry, guys. So hope everything's okay there with Mark and Mike and all you guys out there. Gerald String, hope everything's doing okay there. Missed hearing from you for sure. And finally got the Twitter account fixed up a bit now. The password is accurate and everything. It's not as weird as before. So, yeah, it's great. So things are basically more normal now with the Purple Mafia Twitter. So hopefully things will start growing, hopefully now. Yeah, still not feeling 100%. Obviously got to recover for a little bit. Feel better tomorrow, I suppose. Dave Hickey jumps on board, says Monday Night Football against the Bears. Always a tough fight, 13-0 at the half. Oops, that was the last show. Sorry about that. Let's keep going. Yeah, so Mad Martin says, okay, yep, out of Northern Scotland. Ben, protection issues all season, but especially the past 2 games. It'll be better with Darisaw back, but they still need a lot of work on the interior. Yep. Well, of course, Darisaw won't be back until next season. Sorry for my noise there. Yeah, pass protection was kind of frustrating. What were we saying? I was saying extremely disappointing. Yeah, that drive where Seattle just went right down to make it 14-14. That was annoying. Or was it 17-14? Yeah, Seattle got within 3. Mad Martin said, piss poor. Hard to tell what was worse, the 3 and out by the offense with under 2 minutes left in the half, or the defense putting up absolutely no resistance of any kind, nor showing any interest of ever stacking Gino today at all. Yeah, it didn't happen until super late. So, Mad Martin was saying, I'm still not ready to believe this team can go all the way. Perhaps if they can close out the regular season and get that number 1 seed, then just perhaps. But as we know, heartbreaking loss awaits us in the playoffs. And hopefully that's not the case. Hopefully it's not the case this time. But we're hoping that, that will not happen this time around. Mad Martin saying, we have never had an easy time in Seattle. For once, I've found this year remotely frustrating. 12-2 in a reset here after 6 years of frustration. I'll take it. Mad Martin says, I'm still not ready to believe this team. Yeah, okay, yep. So that one kind of came around later. Dave Hickey says, I know you can't miss on these turnovers in this close of the game. Yeah, I know, because I was like, man, we only got a field goal out of it or ended up punting and such. Super annoying football game. Like the faked punt, that ended up being a first down for Seattle. I don't even know if I talked about that one. Man, that was really painful. But again, I was trying to get out of that first segment, not feeling good. Starting to feel a little funky again, but it should be okay. Maybe just tired. Mad Martin says the biggest issue in today's game is all the drops. This game could be over. Yep, the dropped interception and the dropped catches too. Bowie Van and Addison drop, Hawkinson drop. Yeah, God, several Hawkinson. Yeah, man, one of them was first down that would have put the Vikings in good position. Should have ended up being 4th down. Griffin drop, Cashman drop. They can cost big time. And, they did. It was extremely frustrating. I was saying Hawk drove me nuts all day. Ned Martin says, I just need 1 first down. Just need 1 first down now and we control our destiny if that happens. But, Seattle did get 1 more shot. And then the interception wrapped it up. But the frustration continued. I was saying I'm frustrated with Minnesota sports. I got to give up one of these years. Ned Martin said, it's not over yet, my friend. The Vikings did end up winning the game, thankfully. Mad Martin says, I think ultimately if you're going to have any faith in this team, they have to play better than this against a fringe playoff team because now the competition gets harder and the opposition becomes much tougher. Oh, yes, it does. Yep, I was saying, he was agreeing about me saying Hawk was real frustrating. Yep. I was talking about the celebrations, like, just stop. And then RB says, the celebrations are great and they're working. We have a team for once. We have a real team for once. And yes, I appreciate that, RB. Next one, Man Martin was saying, I would say we've probably all aged about a decade under KOC leadership. Yeah, because close games. Theo Jackson interception, I was saying, huge, big moment there. Tanae Brown out of New Zealand joins up saying, oh man. Oh, about the celebrations. Oh man, I think they're fun. And I'd say it's a sign of good team chemistry, the way they all come together for them. I'd absolutely hate it if another team was doing it, though. Yeah, like Seattle was doing it a bit, and it was annoying. Dave Hickey, 3 tweets here to wrap things up. What a game. We don't seem to get many wins against the Seahawks, so that was huge. Hopefully we can follow it up with a huge win over the Packers. Skol. Dave continues, yep, my wife, Dave's from Iowa, by the way, my wife and I went to Seattle when my wife's brother was stationed there. We went to a Denver versus Seahawks preseason game. I said this could be a Super Bowl preview, and it turned out that way with the Hawks kicking ass in both. Yep. Next one, yep. Vikings win and a fantasy championship for me, and I still got Mike Evans to get to play. Yeah. So congratulations, Dave Hickey, bringing home the fantasy championship. Happy for you there. So congratulations. Yep. My team did not make it. Nope. But very happy to hear that, Dave Hickey. Awesome. So as I'm wrapping up here, I wish I could have more energy to say a lot of this, but I want to thank you guys so much from the bottom of my heart as now we're heading into Christmas. It's absolutely Christmas now. And I want to wish all of you a very Merry Christmas going into this. Obviously, yep, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa to those of you that celebrate those holidays. But, yep, here in the United States, I'd still say the feature presentation is Christmas. So just mentioning it, a lot of us celebrate Christmas, and we're very happy to enjoy it. And I just want to wish all of you that very much so. Again, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa as well, to those that celebrate those holidays, for sure. So, wishing all of you the best. I should be healthier tomorrow. I got to think. I just need to kind of get my bearings back, feel better again, and all of that good stuff. But wishing all of you the best. Have a safe and pleasant holiday/Christmas weekend, or week, pardon me. Be safe, and we'll be back to talk about hopefully a 14-2 football team next Sunday.